Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and this is the Piracy Show. Now, a while ago I did a video where I was talking about controller balance, and then after that I had done a video where I was still searching for a Hotas, and generally as I was kind of going through all the reviews, whether it was SciTech, CH products, or anything, generally in the end, a lot of people felt that one of the best Hotas's out there, if not the best, was this one right here, the Thrustmaster. Now, a lot of people had different qualms for it, saying that it wasn't the best for space combat necessarily. And so it always kind of came back to, just getting kind of thrown back into, all right, well then, what do I want to look for? Do I want to wait for the Star Citizen one? Is the Star Citizen one even going to be worthwhile? But as I would kind of wrestle around in a circle with these ideas and try to figure them out, the same thing just kept coming up again and again and again, which was, why not just use a mouse? I mean, with so many ships featuring gimbaled guns or able to adapt to gimbaled guns, why not just use a mouse? And the thing of it is my joystick, the one that I had been using previously, actually was basically, it was toast. And without the ability to manipulate the dead zone in Star Citizen anymore, it had just become completely unplayable. And basically, unless I wanted to fly around making a very aggressive right hand slash climbing turn continuously and fly like that, it just wasn't going to happen. So in the meantime, I'd been using the mouse, and as I had been using the mouse, I had also been using my G13 along with it to map different functions to. So the whole time that I'm searching for a HOTAS, I'm actually using my Razer Naga and my G13 that you see up on the screen here. And as I would incorporate other functions into it, I would add different buttons. Of course, the G13 you can put in macros. The Razer Naga you can put in macros as well, so you can kind of map complex functions, and you can even map out key presses with time delays. So you can say, hit 1, then hit 3, then wait 2 seconds, then hit 4. Or I can just create a button that just hits F. So I figured, I would kind of go over the basic control scheme that I had developed for both the mouse and for the G13, and then talk about that a little bit. So here, let me put them up on screen and let's talk about it. Now, working with the G13 first, of course, the first, the basic functions that I wanted to map to that were throttle. So throttle up and down more or less mimic the W and S keys on my keyboard. So obviously throttle up top, throttle down below. That's just the basic function. Now next we have my mobility functions, which is strafe up, strafe right, strafe left, and strafe down, which I use the mini joystick on the G13 to use. So basically I use my thumb, I'd always have access to it, and I can just immediately shift into a strafe. I don't even have to decouple or anything like that. I can just immediately just tap boost and then shift into a side, up, right, left, strafe, anywhere I want to go. And with the mouse, obviously, I have a far easier time targeting things while I'm circle strafing targets. But I mean, this alone was one of the best features of the G13 was that mini joystick and my ability to use it to strafe. Now, of course, next up was boost and brake. So, when I'm going into a strafe, obviously you need a little boost to just kind of, stick you right into that strafe and keep you moving sideways really fast. So boost there, obviously brake right on the opposite side of throttle down. So if I really just want to stop and then let it go and start going again, that's where I put the brake button. Now, next up, I basically mapped my roll right, roll left functions further out a little bit, so not something that I can accidentally hit, but still easily within reach. And that pretty much closes it up for the basic mobility functions that the G13 gave me outside of just normally, what you have with the mouse. Now, next up, I mapped the functions for target nearest hostile, cycle hostile targets, and match target velocity, each of which was very easily within comfortable reach of my fingers. So there were just no issues there. And I mean, muscle memory was just, it was like that. I just had it right away, and everything was just working so smoothly. Now, next up were the mouse functions on my Razer Naga. Now, of course, no real surprise here with these switches. I mean, it is what it is. So, anyone who plays with the mouse, generally, this is what you get, and it's customizable. But out of the box, this is what everyone has. But because of all the buttons on the side, I was actually able to do something really interesting with those buttons on the side. And let me show you that. Now, the side buttons on the mouse, I was actually able to take and then map my shield functions to. Shields to the front, shields to the back, shields to the right, shields to the left. And so, basically, on the fly, while I'm playing, I can just move my thumb around and, kind of vector my shields wherever I want them to be. Just, right there at my fingertips. And it really, really worked out. And as I basically practiced with this and started using it more and more, basically running through the Vandal Swarm over and over and over again, and then kind of going back and saying, okay, what do I want to change? What do I want to add? This basically was my default setup while I was waiting for a Hotas. So with these two devices here basically becoming my default Star Citizen setup while I waited for a Hotas, I got so used to them, as I played them, I mean, I was still going out and, I was looking at all the various Hotases you can buy. And, I was getting, every once in a while, I'd start looking at the Warthog and I'd be like, oh, the Warthog looks really cool, that I bet you I could map, the stray functions through that button, and I could map this to that, and, oh, that would work out, and that would be really cool. But it's just in general, as I was looking at it, of course, the Canadian dollar has gone downwards, and of course that means the price of the Thrustmaster has gone upwards, along with many other Hotases. And I was just looking at it and thinking, which one do I get? Which one do I get? And then, some people would show the CH product stuff. And, you'd hear people quoting prices on the CH products, and then you would go to websites and realize, oh no, they've realized that there's another market out there because the prices are going up and up and up. And of course, with the Canadian dollar, they're going up even further for us. And so I was just, perpetually stuck in this feedback loop of this, but it's too expensive. This, but some people don't like it. They don't really dig the quality. This, a lot of people say it lasts a really long time, but I mean, is it really going to be right for me? I do like the little, with the CH1, I really like the little mini joystick that they had on the throttle. I was like, oh man, I could totally use that for my strafe functions. It's perfect. And then I went, you look at the X52, the X55, the Thrustmaster, Warthog, blah, 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 blah. And it's just endless. Which one? In the meantime, all this time, though, that I've been playing Star Citizen for at least since September, I've been playing on mouse and G13. And then, it kind of hit me. It was just like, why do I need a Hotas? Do I need it? I mean, think about the game that you're playing. I mean, the game is geared, for better or for worse, the game is geared towards the mouse. And quite frankly, even before I, when I was flying my glaive around, when I was first putting all this together, even though the glaive had all fixed weapons, as soon as I taught myself to, use the zoom function, I had no issue. hitting things with the glaive, even with the fixed weapons. I would just zoom in and, I would just let those size 5s just rip, and it was just, I was just annihilating things. And which kind of brought me back to another thing, that I started to wrestle with just recently. I was like, do I want the glaive back? Because I really kind of started to like it towards the end, and I don't know, but that's another video altogether. But yeah, I've been playing with the mouse, and when I was playing with the G13, I said, oh, you know what? All I have to do is hit one of the memory buttons, and on the fly, I can totally shift this to be my first-person shooter controls, and I can flop back and forth on the fly without having to take my hands off of anything. I mean, it just becomes, it goes from first-person shooter, then boom, it goes right back to flight, back and forth whenever I need it, at the touch of a button. I don't have to put my hands away and put them on the keyboard. Boom, they're already there. I just tap a button. I mean, this G13, when people talk about the CH products, the fact that they last and last and last, I've had this G13 since the Lich King was like current content, and this thing is just gold. This is MMO gold if you have one of these things, because you can literally program rotations into the keys by using time delays, or just by using a basic progression where you just basically map all your buttons off to the side and use number keys as the activations on sort of like a secondary, what do they call them, action bar. And you just create like a progression of like number 0 all the way down to number 1. And you just say one button, this button hits 562, 562, 562, which is like your base rotation. And then you can hold down other buttons to add or subtract things, like, okay, I got to do an AoE rotation, so then I hold down the other button, and while it's doing 562, it's also hitting 3 and 4, 3 and 4, and so it does AoE attacks, and so you can tank really easily, or then you can hold down another button and hold down your base rotation, and that single target, higher damage, higher threat, and you end up playing these buttons like almost like guitar chords with your fingers, and you just kind of swap in and swap out the functions that you need to tank. And frankly, I tanked a lot of current content all the way through Cataclysm and into the beginning of Pandaria, before I kind of gave up on World of Warcraft because it was starting to be terrible. But the thing of it is this G13 has been with me through all that abuse. And I mean, when I'm playing, World of Warcraft, I was abusing the garbage out of it. I was abusing the shit out of this. Okay, I was beating this thing up. And I mean, even now, I've cleaned it up. Because I was thinking maybe I would, instead of just putting up the images, I was thinking maybe I was going to kind of like use my cell phone and take a video of me showing how all the functions were. And I thought, nah, I can just use images. It's much more clear. And of course, this thing, I'd really have to give it a once over to make it presentable. And, but yeah, it's hung with me through all that since at least 2008. Which, I mean, puts this thing almost at a decade old. And it's just not slowing down. It just works and works and works and goes and goes and goes and never quits. And I mean, my Razer Naga, now this mouse is new. I've only gotten this mouse since August, I think, is when I picked it up. The mouse that I had before that was a Razer Lachesis. I believe that's what it's called. Yeah, a Razer Lachesis, which I am pretty sure I have had since... Oh God. Oh man, I'm pretty sure that it was probably about 2005 when I got that. 2005, 2004, somewhere in there. And that thing still works. It still works. The only reason I gave up on the Razer Lachesis is it only had 2 buttons on the side, and I wanted something with more functions, and plus all the buttons on the side are programmable, like on the mouse, all the buttons on the side are programmable, like the buttons on the G13. I mean, it's just all these insane options. And even though I've shown you the core of my setup, I haven't shown you all the other functions and all the other buttons because, frankly, I mean, this video is already a little bit long for one of my videos, and I mean, there's just so much more to talk about, and everything's just right at my fingertips. And as I was, as I'm sitting there on the one hand and just wrestling with all these different Hotases, what do I get? What do I get? What do I get? I was just kind of organically building a control setup on my mouse in G13 that worked and worked beautifully. I mean, it was just becoming so efficient. And I mean, I was even able to get through Vandal Swarm with only 4 Sledge 2s on a Super Hornet to test out a possible setup that I'm going to go into hopefully in a future video if the Saber ever gets flyable soon. Hint, hint, do it. But yeah, and the G13, when I bought that thing, I think it cost me about 75 bucks from Amazon. And I had it 2 days later, and I'm addicted to the thing. It's just like I can't play MMOs without it. And as soon as I get into any MMO, whether not so much World of Warcraft, at least not until Legion hits, and maybe that'll be interesting for a little while. But even like if I play like the Old Republic, it's just as soon as I get into it, I just start programming buttons, and I'm like, so many options, so many things I can do. And now that I'm kind of settling on it for Star Citizen, I'm just sitting there and thinking, oh my god, I can map so much crap to this and have everything right within my reach and never have to like move around and like touch a keyboard except to type a message, which really I don't, when I'm gaming, I don't, swap to the keyboard to say, LOL, F you, pal, I'm gonna totally, kick your ass. I don't do that. When I see other people typing in games, I'm just like, you're wasting time, you're being inefficient, you should be busy fighting and kicking ass and not typing bullshit. And so, yeah, I mean, at this point, and it's kind of some of the cautionary messages that I've been saying about the Hotases. The way Star Citizen is built right now, I don't see that a Hotas would be any particular advantage, and I actually kind of see it as a disadvantage. I mean, especially in terms of targeting and in terms of firing your guns. And this is coming from a person who has been obsessed with getting a Hotas. I want that visceral feeling. I want to hold on to it and fly and feel like I'm really flying one of these fighters. But at the same time, I'm just sitting there and I'm going like, I could go out and I could spend, depending on how the dollar goes, I mean, I could end up spending $1,000 on a Thrustmaster Warthog only to just get my ass handed to me by some kid with a $15 Dell fucking mouse. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, I would literally have to just sit there and just jam and jam and jam and jam on a friggin' Hotas for months to really get my shooting and get my targeting accuracy right down. And I would have to do all that just to equate what someone could get within a week of playing with a mouse. And plus, I wouldn't have the ability like they would have to just kind of flick the mouse and just take a quick snapshot, even though someone's not in their range or not right in the center of their screen, and then just keep flying the way they're flying. So, I mean, I'm going to wrestle with this question some more, and I'm going to definitely pay attention to, see what people have to say about these trackballs on these Star Citizen Hotases. But right now, I mean, I think this is it. I think this is the way I'm going to go. And I know some people are going to be, badly disappointed because there's a lot of hardcore, Hotas believers out there, like true believers. And dude, trust me, I was almost on the bandwagon. And then I accidentally did this, and it works amazingly. And I mean, really, it cost me 75 bucks. Like 8 years ago. And I mean, it's just right there. I mean, the mouse cost me, I think, 80 all in last summer. So yeah, so I mean, realistically, for what I've paid for a Citizen setup in the last year, $80 plus $75 back in 2008. And right now, unless I see something drastic, I'm sticking with this. Anyways, this has been a super, super long episode of the Piracy Show. I hope you enjoyed it, and I am now going to log off and start editing all this because this is going to be a nightmare.
Quantum travel initiated.